Tiddler first class. Oh, that's tremendous. You are lucky.
Well, I wouldn't say I was lucky exactly. I've had to work really hard for it. All those lessons I've had from Mossop, all those things I've had to learn. But it's all been worth it.
Here, does it always do that?
Do what?
Make that humming sound.
That's not the medal. That seems to be coming from the sky. Oh, look!
It's coming this way.
What was that?
I don't know. But whatever it was, here comes another one. It's a stone. Who threw that?
I don't think anybody threw it. It just seemed to fall out of the sky. Look, there's another one falling in that field at the bottom of the garden.
And there's another one heading towards Marjorie's house.
And that one looks as if it's going to land on Mr. Grimley's roof. We'd better go and warn them. I'll go and tell Mr. Grimley. You warn Marjorie.
Right.
Oh, no. Oh, Mossop. Don't do that.
Just helping Marjorie. Helpfulest fellow you'd ever like to meet. That's what I am.
Well, just be careful if you should drop them.
Drop them? What a ridiculous notion. Safest pair of hands in Riddleton End. That's what I've got. Whoa, there you are, you see. You thought I was going to drop them, didn't you? Fancy you thinking that of me. What? Who threw that?
Somebody smashed my window, Mossop.
They very nearly smashed me too, Marjorie. Why, if I'd been standing just here, then
Mossop, speak to me. Are you hurt?
Well, since you mention it, Marjorie, yes, I am. Having a stone bounced off your head is quite a painful process, as a matter of fact. This is something that has been brought to my attention quite frequently, with great force on the previous occasions on which it has occurred.
Well, what I'd like to know is who would throw stones through my window?
What are you talking about? I haven't thrown no stones through no window. Meddler, that is not only ungrammatical, it's not true neither. Why, the evidence is right there in your hands. Got to throw that one through the window as well, are you? No, I was just bringing this to show you.
Oh, Middler, don't tell fibs. What I'd like to know is what on earth possessed you to smash my window?
But I didn't! Now, how do you expect us to believe that, Middler, when you're standing there on the scene of the crime with a stone in your hand? You've got a stone in your hand too, but I'm not saying you smashed the window. Well, if you don't believe me, there's nothing more to be said.
Well, honestly, it's bad enough him throwing a stone through my window and hitting you on the head without telling fibs about it. I thought Middle had stopped playing those tricks of his.
I don't know what the young'uns of today are coming to, quite frankly, Marjorie. Hey, up! Here comes another young rascal with mischief in mind.
Tiddler? Well, she wouldn't get up to any mischief.
Oh, wouldn't she, Marjorie? Well, what I say is this. Just look at what she's got in her hand. Now then, what do you think you are going to do with that then, young Tiddler, eh?
This? I was just bringing it to show you.
Ha! That's what the other young rapscallion said, that is.
Young rapscallion?
Middler, he threw a stone through my window and hit poor Mossop on the head.
Middler did.
He certainly did. Caught red-handed he was, with another stone in his hand, ready to throw. A stone not unlike that one you've got in your hand.
But this fell out of the sky, along with all the others. That's how your window got smashed, Marjorie. I'm sure of it. There've been stones falling all over the place.
Stones from the sky. Did you ever hear such rubbish?
But it's true. Look, here comes another one. It's heading straight for the greenhouse.
Whoa!
I nearly had another window smashed then.
I told you it wasn't Middler.
Oh, I feel awful, accusing Middler of doing something he didn't do. And he said he didn't do it as well, and I just called him a fibber. We've been very unjust, Mossop.
Stones from the sky. Stones from the sky. Riddlestones. It's a sign.
What are you talking about, Mossop?
It's a sign, Tiddler. Do you know what this is?
It's a stone.
Yeah, I know it's a stone, Tiddler. Anyone can see it's not a jam donut. But this is no ordinary stone. This is a riddle stone.
A riddle stone? I don't understand.
Happen you don't, Marjorie. Humans don't understand about riddle stones, but riddlers do. And what they know about them is this. When a shower of riddle stones falls from the sky, it's a sign. A sign that somewhere in the area there is a tiddler who's ready to become a riddler. And we all know who that is, don't we?
Me?
Yes, you, tiddler. These stones, and there should be 12 of them somewhere in the area, are the last part of your training. Solve the riddle of the stones, and you will be a full riddler.
Gosh.
How exciting. But, Mossop, what do the stones do?
Do, Marjorie. They provide the most wonderful stories. Stories told by the great riddler storyteller, Eesup.
Eesup? But he wasn't...
No, not Eesup. Eesup. There's an U in his name, Marjorie. Eesup told the most tremendous tales, which became known as Eesup's Foibles.
Surely you mean Aesop's fables?
I know what I mean, Marjorie. And what I mean is Aesop's foibles. You see, a foible is a sort of weakness. And Aesop's weakness, or foible, was that whenever he was supposed to be teaching his tiddler, he was never anywhere to be found. He was off somewhere, making up his stories.
It sounds as if his tiddler had an easy time of it.
Ha! That would always seem to be the case, tiddler. But in fact, those stories were as good as lessons any day. You see, each of the stories has a moral in it, a sort of lesson to be learnt. And you have to be a clever tiddler to spot 'em. Ah, yes, they're a great test for a tiddler, are the foibles of Eesup. Eesup, tell us a story, do, for nobody can tell 'em quite as well as you. Your stories have lessons that ought to be heard. With that, not a person can quarrel. You can sit down and listen to every word, and afterwards work out the moral. Oh, Eesup, tell us a story, do, for nobody can tell 'em quite as well as you. Yes, nobody can tell 'em quite as well as you.
They do sound like wonderful stories, Mossop. But I don't understand what the stones have got to do with them.
I'll show you how it works, tiddler. Eesup, Eesup, tell us a story, do.
A long time ago, there was a tribe of riddlers who kept sheep. Those riddlers thought very highly of their sheep. And they weren't the only ones. The wolves were quite keen on the sheep too, which was why a tiddler was always sent out with the flock to guard it. Well, one particular day, the tiddler in charge of the sheep thought he'd have a bit of fun. So he shouted out at the top of his voice, "Wolf! Wolf! There's a wolf attacking the sheep!" Well, the riddlers in the valley below all came tumbling out of their homes and went tearing up the hillside to help save their sheep from the wolf. But when they reached the flock, there was no wolf to be seen. Just one very mischievous tiddler laughing till the tears ran down his face. They gave that tiddler the biggest telling off he'd ever had and went stamping off back to their homes in a very bad humour indeed. And was the tiddler ashamed of himself? Not a bit of it. "That was a laugh," he said to himself. "I think I'll try that one again." And he did. "Wolf! Wolf! There's a wolf attacking the sheep!" he shouted. And out came the riddlers again, scrambling up the hillside to rescue their precious sheep. But all they found was a cheeky young rascal rolling around the grass and laughing fit to burst. And the things they said to him, I wouldn't care to repeat them. That evening, as darkness fell, the tiddler was just rounding up the sheep, ready to take them back down the hillside, when he saw a dark and sinister shape prowling behind a rock. It was a wolf with a mean and nasty look in his eye, a wolf who wanted sheep for dinner. "Wolf! Wolf! There's a wolf attacking the sheep!" shouted the tiddler. But down in the valley, the Riddlers who heard him thought he was playing another trick, so they just ignored him. Well, when the wolf saw that nobody was going to come and help the tiddler, he thought it was his lucky day. He didn't just take one sheep, he took the lot to give as presents to all his wolfy friends who also liked sheep for dinner. And as for the tiddler, he was left alone on the hillside, afraid to go back home without his sheep, and wondering how he'd ever thought it would be funny to cry wolf.
One of Eesop's most famous foibles, that is.
Sounds awfully like one of Eesop's most famous fables, Mossop.
Now, Tiddler, in that story, there was a lesson to be learnt. A moral, as clever folk like what I am like to call it. And what I want to know is this. What's the moral, eh?
Oh, I know. If you tell fibs a lot, then nobody will believe you, even when you're telling the truth.
Correct. That's well worked out, that is.
It's a shame that Middler wasn't here to hear that story.
Oh, but I did hear that story.
Ah, Middler, there you are. I'm sorry I accused you of smashing my window earlier. I know now that it wasn't you.
It's a pity you didn't believe me when I told you I hadn't done it.
I know. It was wrong of us not to believe you. But you know, when you first came to the garden, you used to play all sorts of tricks on us, and sometimes you'd say it wasn't you who played them.
Yep. I didn't always tell the truth, did I? Just like the tiddler who cried wolf. And I suppose I can't blame you for not believing me this time.
That's right. Friends again?
Yes, all right. And to prove it, I'll tell you where all those stones landed. It looks as if she's going to need 'em.
Yes, I am.
Well, I've counted 4 scattered around the garden, and there's one in that field over there.
Well, that's 5. And the one that fell on the greenhouse roof, that's 6.
Yeah, and there's the one that broke your window, and this one that bashed me on the head, and the one that Tiddler's holding.
That's 9.
And 2 fell in Mr. Grimley's garden.
Oh, that's 11. Any more?
Only 11. But there should be 12. When riddle stones fall, there's always 12 of them, and that's a fact.
Are you sure, Mossop?
Absolutely positive, Marjorie. There has to be 12. Otherwise, the test isn't all legal and proper like.
Do you mean that if we can't find the other stone, I might not get to be a riddler after all?
That's exactly what I do mean, Tiddler. Oh, this is terrible. What are we going to do? Where could that last riddle stone be?
Look out!
Well, thank goodness that turned up. Oh.
Oh.